Hi, mystery writers. Kind of hints of spring outside, although it's still foggy. I wanted to share with you today. I got my manuscript printed out, and I'm going through page by page, doing edits before I send it to the editor. And I'd like to encourage you to share your progress, where you are. Tell us where you are. Are you still in the thinking stage? Have you planned it out? Going through your edits? Just share your progress. This is a group for sharing where we are and how we work writing mysteries. Okay, anyway, today I wanted to talk about plot and structure, and essentially that readers fall in love with characters, not the plot. So the work that you do on your character is very important. Plot keeps the story moving, and characters keep readers reading. And your hero's vulnerabilities are the best way to get your reader to care about your story and your character. And empathy is the glue that connects your reader to your character and your story. You won't have a viable story without a plot. That's for sure. The plot moves the story forward, but characters, especially your sleuth protagonist, keep readers engaged in your story. A reader is engaged because they care about the character. The reader empathizes with the character's situation and their strengths and weaknesses, and they root for your character to overcome the obstacles. Character empathy is essential for any story across the board, and from cozy mystery to hard science fiction. Successful plot-driven action writers like Robert Ludlum knew this. A character like Jason Bourne fighting against almost unbeatable odds is popular not because of the unbeatable odds, but because he has frailties. So you want to create the sympathetic character weaknesses to engage readers in your story, and these weaknesses are elements, they're actually elemental to your hero's character. When you do your character background work, creating these elements are essential to holding reader attention. Vulnerability is the key to reader empathy. So we are creating sleuths who have their special set of skills that help them solve crime, but at the same time we want to create empathy, which is the strong connection. So your reader's brain creates empathy. It originates in the right supramarginal gyrus located in the parietal lobe, which is right up here, which sorts out sensory information. And the brain sorts out that sensory information and tries to make sense of the information by filling in the gaps. And this is where it works really well for writers. And as your reader fills in the gaps, they create an emotional connection with your character. And your reader's brain sorts out the details you supply, and they get the answer. That's why you don't need to put in everything. That's why those little details count, because readers' brains are picking up those details and they fill in the gaps. So your reader uses memory, knowledge, and experience from their own personal life to fill in the blanks about your character. And those personal cues tie the reader to your character. Every person uses themselves as a yardstick to figure out what another person is feeling, including characters in a novel. So no matter what the situation or genre, Your reader's brain is working hard to fill in the gaps, and your reader will try to fill in the blanks about your character. So, as a writer, you can help them by providing vulnerability markers for your hero. You control the sensory information in your story, and you add sensory detail about the setting. You add emotional responses for your characters, and your reader's brain fills in the gaps, and they connect with your character. No amount of fancy plot tactics can compete with your reader's brain to create empathy for your character, and you have the ability to help your reader love your character. So there are three crucial elements, and as you work on your character background, focus on these three elements that best cause readers to empathize. One is disadvantage, one is the context of where they are in the story, and the other is that character's vulnerability. And when your reader empathizes with the character, they put themselves in your character's shoes. And once you've done that, the reader will follow your character through any obstacle, hardship, or conflict, because while they are in this story, they are your character. The elements you need are fundamental and inalterable to your characters. Tacked on frailties don't work. So how you create and use the character elements in your story are crucial to creating reader empathy. So let's take a look at disadvantage. Give your character an inescapable social, political, or economic disadvantage. Readers want to see the characters overcome that disadvantage, and your character may be highborn and meet social opposition if he is in financial straits. Her political views keep her from connecting with her opponents. He can't compete economically because he has financial circumstances. In the case of Jason Bourne, he doesn't know who he is. Readers don't want to see innocent people suffer. They root for the underdog who can't escape from their disadvantage. A physical weakling must outfight a troop of trained assassins. A wallflower falls in love with the handsomest guy in town who's engaged to the richest woman in town. The disadvantage is not a habit or addiction the character has acquired that they could overcome by willpower or dedication. So like the overused alcoholic demon torturing the hero is not a disadvantage. The disadvantage is a given. The hero can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about where they were born or their social background. So these are the big. So the hero has to live with that disadvantage, and the reader sympathizes. Okay, so that's a little bit about disadvantage, and then context. Remember those compare and contrast school assignments? I hated them. Anyway, context is how you use comparison in your story. Put your hero's strengths in comparison to other characters. If your hero lives by his wits, the antagonist is smarter. If she's an ace at deducing what happened, the antagonist plants false clues to trip her up. Your brawny ex-special forces hero faces a bigger, stronger opponent. So you want to know your character's strengths and then pit them against something that's bigger than those strengths. Your reader has been admiring your hero's skills and strengths, and now that strength is put to the test by someone bigger, smarter, more adept than your hero. and your reader feels the difference. That's what you want. You want them to feel. And now everything is tilted to make your hero's strength a vulnerability. So you shed new light on your character, and once again your reader is empathizing with this new comparative situation. What was a strength is now a vulnerability, and your reader reacts. So let's talk a bit about vulnerability. From Save the Cat to Pet the Dog, almost every story structure includes an element of vulnerability. The tough wise guy is a sucker for a lost dog, and the veteran sniper leaks tears at a kid's birthday party. Your sassy heroine cries after leading a child home. The reason is reader empathy, and this technique is so powerful. You only need to do it once, maybe twice. You don't need to overdo vulnerability. One instance in your story is all it takes to garner that reader empathy. Every reader is human, and when they see vulnerability in your hero, it's a very strong connection. So amplify the vulnerability, have surrounding characters respond to your hero's moment of vulnerability. Kids and animals work, but use your imagination to create other vulnerable situations. The sight of a tomato brings back your heroine's memories of good days with a deceased spouse, making giant pots of tomato sauce, whatever it is, okay? The key is to make the connection between the object and your hero's emotional frailty. Your reader will make the connection. So your vulnerable hero and your reader, these vulnerable moments work in any genre, tugging at your reader's brain to fill in those emotional gaps. So when you create vulnerabilities in your character background, then use them at the appropriate plot points to keep your reader engaged. So in a mystery, our hero sleuth is set on finding out the truth, discovering who committed the crime. But along the way, we have many, many pages to engage the reader and keep them empathizing with your hero. So the way a reader comes to know your character is similar to the way we come to know people in real life. So now that you know how important hero vulnerabilities are to your reader, create a set of vulnerabilities in your character background and scale them on emotional intensity to pair them with the plot points for greater emotional impact. Weave your hero's vulnerabilities into this story and use your plot to find the high points where frailties will have the most impact. So use vulnerabilities in your middle to keep readers engaged with your hero as you move the story toward that ultimate conclusion. You do need a solid plot to drive this story, and you create balance for your reader by highlighting those vulnerabilities at crucial plot points. So blend your hero's vulnerabilities with your plot to create a story that both emotionally engages the reader and keeps them turning pages. Okay, that was what I wanted to chat about today. I think character vulnerabilities are important for that reader connection. And as I mentioned, they don't have to be huge vulnerabilities. They just have to create that emotional response in the reader, and then your hero or heroine can go on solving the mystery of the crime. Okay, don't forget, in our group, go ahead and tell us where you are in your current story. Just beginning, working through the middle, going through edits, getting toward the end of the story. Just let us know and share your progress. All right, thank you. I'll see you next week.